Hello YouTube, my name is Adam, and back again for another Loki Nerd Out is my mom.
Hello! Hey everybody.
So, the second episode was just as great as the first one. Kept the super good tone, upped the action and the fun. Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson were great, just like last time.
So good.
So good.
Such a great episode.
Had quite a bit of plot development.
Yeah.
Quite a bit,
yeah. Crazy things happening.
Crazy things.
Yes. So, we are about to discuss some of those
Said
crazy things, which would be spoilers if
Spoilers.
you haven't seen the episode.
So, spoiler warning, get off the video, watch the episode, come back once you've watched it.
Come back.
Thank you.
All right, we're giving you
5
5,
seconds.
4,
3,
3,
2, 1, 0.
All right,
so
moving
if
on.
you're still
You've been
here,
warned.
You've watched the episode, or you don't care about spoilers. Either one. In whatever case, let's keep going.
All right.
So,
So,
the first thing we want to talk about
yes.
is Miss Minutes.
What? She's my favorite. Not quite in such an extreme way as, what's his name from New Rockstars? MT.
MT. Yes.
He's apparently married to Miss Minutes.
Quite as
She's a
extreme
crack,
as
but like,
But
whatever, you do you, man. But she is a really interesting, really funny character.
yes.
And this week we found out,
We discovered that she is partly physical in some way.
right,
Like she's able to be in the real world and like stand on books and be able to get hit.
and be in the electronic world. Right, that was the most interesting thing to me, was like,
Is that she jumped away
if she's a
when Loki
projection,
was spotted.
right, she doesn't need to avoid being spotted at, right, if she's
If
just
she's
a projection. So
it'll
there's,
just go right through.
yeah, some like physical element to her, which
Some
I
sort of
thought was
physical
pretty cool.
aspect,
Yeah. In addition to being able, obviously, to hop like in and out of
Computers.
the screen. So I still feel like we're gonna find out more about her, because she also is a selectable function on their
those pads.
pads
and on
that the
elevator.
Minutemen carry out, and she's an elevator button. So like,
But I almost feel like that might just be that summons the holographic projection of her that we saw.
it
in the
could be.
episode.
It could be. I mean, why would they need her in the field though? Like maybe she's just sort of like the answer to all the questions. Like I saw a couple of people on some of the reviews that we watched equated her to the obnoxious little paperclip guy that shows up to like give you grammar advice.
Some sort
Maybe
of
if you're in the
Microsoft thing.
field and you run into a hiccup, you can sort of summon her to get the information that you
Miss
need.
Minutes,
I don't
help.
know. Yeah. I don't know. I think that maybe there's more to her that we're going to continue to find out. But I did definitely find it interesting that she clearly has some physical form.
Yeah, she definitely has some sort of a physical form. And this is a great segue into our next thing.
Oh, because also
Because
when
what
Loki was
swatting
her with was the
was
Jet
a
Ski
Jet Ski
magazine.
magazine.
Yes.
And we learn later that Mobius has a crazy appreciation for jet skis. But he has never
Is
ridden
it a
one.
perfect union of form and
Form and
function or
function or
something?
something.
I don't know.
He has not appreciation for jet skis. But he has never ridden one because he says that seeing one of the TVA on a jet ski somewhere would definitely cause a branch tire.
Which is just a crazy, like, they keep sort of saying, you know, the Timekeepers created everyone in the TVA. Like, have they just always lived in wherever that crazy place is? Were they created as adults? Like, are there kids in the TVA somewhere? Like, how does that...
Or
They just came into being and have never lived anywhere else, been anywhere else? Like, I feel like there's some interesting...
there is some interesting
possible backstory to explore there.
backstory to explain
But-
there, yeah.
I mean, bottom line is that at some point in the show, Owen Wilson's got to get on a jet ski, right?
Yeah.
Like,
One of the final shots in the last episode, Owen Wilson on a jet ski, riding off into the sunset, along with Loki doing something with the Tesseract, getting back home changing the course of history, going back after Infinity War, maybe?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think that depends on what ends up happening with all of the multiverse and the branches and the craziness that is going to, I think, begin to ensue based on what went down
in the last
few minutes of the show. But what led to them having that craziness in the last few minutes of the show was the discovery that this evil variant,
murderous Loki variant,
is hiding in an apocalypse, which is so crazy.
So crazy.
But also brilliant. Yeah, as Loki figures out, right, if your entire universe is going to be wiped out anyway, and that's part of the sacred timeline from which there is no deviation, whatever you do before that is going to get wiped out when that apocalypse happens. So if
everything else is wiped out.
If you've got your timing right.
If you have your timing right, you can sit and cause immense havoc in an area not intended on said sacred timeline, but it would not cause any variations, because any havoc that you caused is about to be obliterated by the apocalypse.
Right. And in one of my favorite moments of the episode, how they proved that his theory was correct was that they went back to Pompeii just before the volcanic eruption, and Loki gave this glorious speech in Latin to all of the people who were living there. And so I took like 3 years of Latin in high school, and it's hard, and it's dry, and it's, until you get really into the meaty beefiness of it, it's a little difficult. But it was so cool to hear him just like gleefully going off, giving this speech in Latin. And then I told you this morning, I read an article that apparently Tom Hiddleston's degree is in classics, and so he speaks Latin and ancient Greek and a bunch of other things.
So he actually speaks Latin.
So it was probably kind of fun for him
to just.
I mean, I know he was supposed to be gleeful and ridiculous in the scene, but I feel like maybe a little bit of that was just legitimate joy at being able to dork out and speak Latin in his show, since that is a skill set that he has anyway.
Yeah, and that's very cool.
But, you know, so that sort of threw that little nerd nod in there, but additionally proved his theory
that anything you do in apocalypses does not affect the time.
Doesn't deviate. So from that, they were able to narrow down an apocalypse and the kablooey gum.
By the kablooey gum.
Combining, and that was where...
Because the kablooey was only sold for like 3 years, so that very much narrowed down their search.
Right, yeah. That was cool when they had to search through all the files and sort of triangulate almost, like, okay, it's an apocalypse. It's a significant enough event that it's going to wipe everything out.
Wipe it out.
Also during a time and in a space where
kablooey
was available. Yes. So that's cool. Yeah. And then one of the other kind of interesting details that we sort of caught our attention was Ravonna. I mean, she approved the mission for them to go out and try to like find this final variant. But leading up to that, that conversation
with Mobius in her office.
Right, you're not the only analyst I have working for me. The detail came out that Mobius has never met the timekeepers. So Ravonna is the only one who can speak to them. Which, you know, historically not awesome if there's only one person that can talk to the god figures and nobody else is allowed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm wondering just what, is she hiding something? Is she kind of a front for something? Like, what's, the TVA seems to me to be not what it seems.
Not what it seems.
There's more going on there. I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Yes, I definitely think that. Maybe not to the extent of The Wizard of Oz, where it's just like a guy. But like, they're definitely not.
Pay no attention to the lizard behind the curtain.
They're definitely not as powerful as they're made out to be.
Or possibly they're not there. Like, she's sort of holding it down and fronting, and they're somewhere else doing their cosmic weirdness.
Doing their cosmic containment.
Or they're sort of a creation, sort of a figment of Kang, right? Because
Yes.
Ravonna and Kang are connected
Ravonna and
historically
Kang
in the
are
comics.
connected in the comics, yes.
So that's sort of some kind of facade that he's created while he's off wrecking the timeline, and she's kind of
Yay, right, sounds-
holding it down in his absence. I don't know, but I mean, I don't know, there's been, conversation on the internet, as there always is, of like, are the TVA the real villains? Is it, like you said, like a Wizard of Oz kind of thing? Like, there's really nothing to it. And I don't know how it will end up shaking out, but I think
No, not sure.
it's definitely not what it seems to be, and I think Renslayer knows that.
Knows that.
Yeah.
Yes. Very much.
But I like her character too. Like, she's obviously got a lot going on under the surface. And she hopped up right away to fight when everything went rogue at the end. But was that because she's like, I gotta go out there and kick butt with my people and keep my people safe? Or was that, crap, this chick is coming for me and has figured out my secret and I've got to defend my citadel, like, phony though it may be? I don't know. So I think that remains to be
Not
seen,
sure.
kind of what her vibe is.
What is her plan?
Yes. Which leads us to the big
Leads
craziness.
us to the big craziness of, on that mission, it is revealed that crazy murderous Loki variant is Lady Loki. And she has been using all of the stolen reset charges. She has amassed them and is now sending them across the timeline to wreak havoc.
Right. Bombing the sacred timeline specifically.
Yes,
Like, all
bombing
those
the
reset charges are going through time doors to space on the sacred timeline to cause as much trouble as possible.
And that is probably to dispatch the entire TVA out of the TVA so she can get in.
Right. So potentially her motivation is to empty out the TVA so that she can get in there and figure out what's
Yeah.
really going on or cause whatever trouble. There was a lot of specificity, which our new Rockstars homies, I think, are going to break
Yes,
down.
are breaking down today.
All of the dates that were kind of coming up on her screen, like, a lot of them were applicable to other Marvel situations. They were on Xandar, they were on Hala at the beginning of maybe the sort of civilization process of the Kree. They were on Ego.
Ego, yes. So, like, what havoc can you cause on Ego? Ego is a celestial.
I don't know. That's an interesting point. Like, what do you do into Ego? Or what did Ego do that was Ego somehow involved, since that's part of the sacred timeline that she's trying to mess up?
Right.
Like, what did Ego have to do with that creation? Yeah, I don't know. I think that there are tons of details that we're going to find out, and I think it's not entirely clear yet what her play is.
What her plan is.
But it was incredibly carefully calculated, obviously, for her to amass all of those reset charges in the way that she did, and to be able to kind of connect them all. And then, of course, our Loki follows her, and it was a little bit nebulous, in my opinion, whether he was following her because he's Loki and he's going to go rogue and Loki's going to Loki, or whether he's following her
to find out what she's doing.
right, to try to find out sort of what her play is, because I do think he feels a legitimate affinity to Mobius. I don't think he cares about the TVA,
I don't think he cares about the
but I think that he and Mobius have a legitimate connection. So I do think it's possible that he realizes that the only way he can kind of figure it out is to follow her and see what she's doing. And also, she's him, and how weird is that?
Yeah, that's weird.
To suddenly discover that there are various versions of you.
yourself.
I feel like I would want to know what that's about. I want to know
Yeah.
who's,
I feel like I would follow.
like, where that ends, you know? I definitely would be into
Very much so.
into trying to follow that to its end, even if it, meant upsetting some people. Yeah. I don't know. I think there's going to be a ton more to find out. I can't believe there's only 6 episodes of this.
There's only 6.
It's a very sort of rich, interwoven story. I feel like, and again, so impressed by just what a well-crafted entity it is. Like, they're not banking on the fact that everybody just loves Loki and everybody's going to eat any Marvel property with a spoon like an ice cream sundae. They're really making like a well knit together thing, right? The acting is beautiful, the writing is beautiful, the timing, like the blocking, yes. People are passing each other and things are happening
like
for like
the one shot where Mobius is giving Loki the daggers and then B-15 immediately takes them away. That was all one shot. She had the time coming in perfectly. So as soon as they were in Loki's hands, she was able to take them.
And those are things that are just pure acting and directing things. Those are not, you know, relying on CGI and mocap and the big effects of it. Those are kind of weaving in those fundamentals of like, this is a good show. And again, something we saw in the new Rockstars breakdown, yet another nod to how thorough the production values are, was the questions on the computer screen when Loki was doing his training was all about Thanos eating apples and various time travel theories. And that was, I mean, it was blurry, it was on a screen behind him. That was an element that you really wouldn't see unless you paused it and enlarged it. But they took the time, they are taking the time to make all of those things really connected and really part of the universe. And all of those behind the scenes things that really make it a real world are so extraordinary in this show, I think. Yeah.
All of it is so cool.
Yeah, it's really well done.
It's really
the performing, the production, the directing, the writing, like it's all just a package. And I mean, I was ready to love this regardless because it's a Loki show, but
Loki.
I'm definitely extremely impressed. Yeah.
Yeah, super cool.
Can't wait to see more.
Can't wait to see next week.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen next week?
What do I think is going to happen next week?
Predictions for next week.
He's going to follow Lady Loki.
Yeah.
Mobius is going to be cheesed.
For sure.
The entirety of the TVA, except Mobius, is going to think he's gone rogue.
I think Mobius is still going to believe in him. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
The entire TVA, except Mobius, is going to think he's gone rogue. Loki is going to discover something about the TVA, whether it be the fakehood of the Timekeepers, or how something about the start or end of time.
Right.
Or something.
Yeah. I think next week will give us kind of greater insight into what the TVA actually is and what they're doing. If you have ideas, though,
comment.
Put them in the comments. Tell us what you think is gonna happen next week. Tell us what your favorite bits and pieces of the show have been so far.
Yeah.
I think we covered everything. I think I'm just excited to see more.
Thank you for coming back.
Thank you for having me back. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah, we'll have Loki chats.
Loki chats.
Four more Loki chats forthcoming. All right. Awesome.
All right. Thank you for watching. Happy Thursday. Happy Pride Month.
Have an awesome weekend. Hope everybody's healthy and safe.
Yeah. Like, subscribe.
Do all those YouTube things.
See you next time.
Bye, guys.